The interim president at Kentucky State University is paying it forward in a big way to help his school's lowest paid workers. Raymond Burse learned some employees were only making the federal minimum wage, $7.25 an hour, so he is giving them raises out of his own pocket. It's costing him $90,000 or a quarter of his salary.
A CBS News New York Times poll earlier this year found 65% of Americans support increasing the federal minimum wage. Raymond Burse joins us for an interview you'll see only on CBS This Morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Raymond. This was one of the most popular stories on our website because people thought, wow, what a generous boss. $90,000 of your salary. Why did you decide to do this?
Well, you know, I guess at the time that the chairman of the board of trustees at Kentucky State started talking to me about whether I would be interested in being the interim president returning, you know, one of the thoughts I had in mind is that, you know, when I went there, I wanted to do something meaningful and impactful. My second question when I met with them was, how many employees make below $10.10 an hour? And they calculated and gave me a number. And for a better part of a month, thought about it, told my board chair that I was going to do that. She was sort of shocked, looked at me as a surprise, and when the board met, I read to them a provision to put in my contract in which they would use that money to raise the salaries of the lowest 24 paid employees. And I did it because I wanted to do something meaningful for those employees, but also to get them committed to the institution to know that they were an important part of what we were trying to do.
Now, we joked before that this guy must be rich. He's got to have a lot of money. But you actually know where these folks are coming from when it comes to working for those kind of wages, right?
Well, it is. You know, I years ago worked for minimum wage. I have family members in my family who work for minimum wage, who live and I came from basically nothing to where I am today. So I can relate to and associate with those employees. And, you know, I know how people struggle, and I didn't want those employees struggling at a time when we were trying to make major improvements in the institution.
You know, it's interesting, 1010, why did you choose that number?
Well, you know, 1010 is a number that's been discussed and debated around a living wage or what the minimum wage ought to be. And I just use that as a sort of a rule of thumb in terms of where I wanted to go with our lowest paid employees.
Mm-hmm. Did you have any idea the reaction you'd get to this? Absolutely not. It's been unbelievable. And, you know, as I think about it sometime, I think if I'd known it was going to be like this, maybe I shouldn't have done it. But I did it anyway.
Now, you realize you're setting the bar a little high. You're only interim president here, right? This is a temporary job. The next president, what are they going to do? Well,
you know, I think they're going to continue the tradition and do the things that you know that he or she needs to do in that position. But you know, part of my job now is to get the finances back stabilized at Kentucky State. So hopefully over the next year, as I work through things, I will get the institution finances where it's stabilized, and those savings and monies will be there to carry this on into the future.
I know you say you had no idea this would get the kind of reaction that it did. It was just something that you felt was the right thing to do, and you wanted to make an impact at this college that you love so dearly. But it does come amidst this growing debate about income inequality, that those that are at the top, the leadership, are making so much money, and there are so many people that are making minimum wage or barely minimum wage or not a living wage at the bottom, this growing gap.
Right, there is in fact a growing gap there, and I think that it's something that needs to be reviewed, evaluated, and addressed in time. But you know, as it relates to my act, it was a single act by Raymond Burse at Kentucky State, not to make a statement anywhere, but to address what I thought was an issue and to help me carry on the mission that I wanted to do at Kentucky State.
We also heard about this restaurant in Minnesota reportedly charging a surcharge because of the increase in minimum wage in their home state. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you know, every business is different. Every business is unique. You know, I would have hoped that, you know, the fact that Minnesota raised the minimum wage, that they wouldn't have taken the opportunity to pass that cost on directly to its consumers. But, you know, every business is in a business, and you know, you have to do what you need to do for the delivery of your product, as well as thinking of what's the consumer impact of all of that. I would hope that it would have gone the other way.
Okay.
Great to have you here.
Well, thanks.
Thank you so much, and good luck to you,
well,
Mr.
thank
President.
you.